Well, good evening. Ira Epstein with your SPDR ETF stock market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for one wild trading day on this Monday, the 12th of May, 2025. As you know already, the United States and China reached a deal where tariffs are dropping dramatically. The United States is taking the tariffs on China down to 30%, and China's probably taking theirs, I think, to 10% on certain items. There'll be plenty of items that are going to be exempt. Out of the 30%, 20% of that tariff is the pressure to stop fentanyl to come in to the North American continent. That is it. President didn't say the United States or Besant. It's North America because we get it from Mexico, we get it from Canada, and we certainly get it ourselves. And they want them to stop it by applying the same rules they do internally to drug users, which they are very harsh in China. If you are a drug user and get caught selling whatever, at least that's what I read. The president had success today with Hamas releasing a dual citizen, American and Israeli citizen, that's been captive since day one. We haven't heard anything on Iran in the U.S. negotiation. It was certainly buried everywhere. SALT is now back in, and I'm talking SALT, the tax that is on all of us. You only get a $10,000 deduction for your real estate and other taxes, property tax and the like. Well, now the new proposal is to take it to $30,000, which isn't enough for California, New Jersey, New York, other states that where taxes and mortgages are just insane as to what they go up in the cost of living. We'll see what they do. It looks like it will be for $400,000 if you make $400,000 and under. As a couple, I think it's $200,000 as an individual. That is where this bracket would come in. Anything over it, you're going to continue with the $10,000 deduction as the plan goes. They want to remove taxes on tips. I don't think you can collect them anyways. Very few people that I know of in the restaurant industry declare their tips if they're left on a table, and they don't give it to the owner to split between different things. So I don't know what that accomplishes one way or the other. I heard nothing on Social Security in all this today. I don't know if that was an omission or by design, because there's talk about trying to eliminate taxes on Social Security. So we will see where this all fits in. Why do I mention that? This game is shifting right now into that. The game has shifted away from every day we'll hear about a trade deal. There'll be others, and they're going to happen all the time now. But now it's about the budget, about taxes, what can they get through? I know you find that hard to believe, but it's how fast this thing all changes on you, and you should stay attuned to it because it has importance. Now, when you look at data that we're going to deal with tomorrow, you're going to get the National Federation of Independent Business. They're going to be at 5. The last reading was in 94.7. We'll see how that comes out for April because things weren't looking so good. The April CPI, do you really put weight on it? Think about what happened in April. China, we hit them with taxes. We hit everybody else. And now the UK and China have made deals. Now, when I say deals, the Chinese-U.S. deal is not going to go down on a piece of paper anytime soon. That could take a year and a half, really. But they've agreed that they've heard each other enough, the two of us, and it said, stop. Let's see where we can work this all out and how we get this done. That's the calm voices talking. It's not President Trump. That was Scott Bessent. And he had a good counterparty there. As for the fentanyl, well, you knew that was going to be part of it when China had said this delegation will include the head of their national security. Do you think he was coming in to protect the vice premier? I don't. He was coming because fentanyl was going to be on the table, and that's where he belonged. Okay, that was an important part. Red Book Group, they're going to update their retail sales. They've been running 6.5%, 7%, and we'll get the API numbers, as you know. So there's a lot to digest right now. So in digesting it, Where do you go with it? You can see all the green that you had in the stock indices. You can see that Amazon was up 15. I have no idea why Netflix was down $30. I know that a lot of the viewers are watching, and 4 big shows were canceled. They're not getting renewed. 1899 was one of those, I guess, and others. Uber today, a gain of $5, looking great as the market is coming back here. Gold got hit, and the gold futures, they were down $100 an ounce, which was an ow. General Motors, Ford, Rivian, all on the upside today as this helps the automakers. Now you're going to get those parts. They're not going to be at a crazy tax. You can deal with that. Tesla up $20. I love Tesla if the market decides it's not a car manufacturer as much as a technology company, and I think that's what's starting to come into play. NVIDIA, all the way up another 635, so it's an important number for me. If you take my subscriber number and you're one of my paid subscribers in the morning, you know how important that number is. All right, so I covered on the weekend Wayfair, so here's your daily charts of it. I did not know things were going to go this way. What I thought was going to happen in Wayfair was they would be okay because I thought you'd get to a 50 or 60% tariff. Wayfair doesn't own the furniture that comes in from Vietnam, China, and other places. It acts as a middleman. And on site, they are the ones that bring it in, and they have the warehouses, and through Wayfair, it all gets shipped out, and that's how these things work. I buy a lot of Wayfair. I don't know if you do. It's just phenomenal. I mean, I find it value for the dollar. And as I looked at this chart today, it just gapped and went. I wish I could say I was so smart that this is what I thought would happen. I thought it was going up, but I didn't expect to see a 20% jump today. Did you look at Restoration Hardware? I think it was up 30 some odd percent. Look at what you've got here in swing lines, market pointing higher. This is why I brought it up. I had noticed that the market had gotten over key moving averages. The trend was up. The bias was up. You were approaching Bollinger Bands, which you gapped today, and you made it to the first moving average, the 100-day. You might even go to the 200, but I'd be careful about reaching for it up there at this point. You're overbought. So I'm glad I covered it, but I didn't expect that kind of move today, a 20% jump. Now, another market I think you should start looking at hard is Kimberly-Clark. I'm not saying you buy or sell. That's always up to you. But I'm noticing that suddenly we have the first move over the 18-day average of closes in quite a while. The market is fighting key moving averages of resistance at the 200-day, the 100-day. You have an outside day up. So unless you take that outside day's low, which is today's low of 132.01 out, I think the pros are starting to nibble on breaks. I'm not recommending that they are buying on, the word recommending is the wrong word. I am not saying they're buying on breaks. I am saying that I think they'll be buying on, let me put this right, my words are all wrong. I don't think they're buying on the rally. I think they'll be buying on the breaks, and I think they'll look hard at the 133.99 level, not wanting to see this market under 132.01. I got it out. When we look at Broadcom, what can you say? I mean, it's just up and away. It's go, 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 baby. Now you're at the Bollinger Band, you're embedded, you cleared the 100-day average, so there should be some profit taking that I see coming here. Another 6.5% gain today. Google couldn't get out of its own way, but it was up 3.74. It's back to the 18-day average, and that's all you can say about it. You have the trend down off the swing line with lower highs, lower lows, and the bias up. In Netflix, I think it's saying with losing the bullish embedded reading, it wants to go back to the 18-day average, which is currently 1093.91, and some number there, and play around that maybe for a while as it figures out what's going on. I do not know why it got hit this hard today with the whole market around it up. In Robinhood, up another 5%, riding the upper Bollinger Band. So you've developed now the gorilla glue trade, where you're sitting there and pushing on that as you're forcing the market to embed, which tells me even on breaks, the buyers are going to come out of the woods on this market. So that's what I'm expecting to see. In XOM, well, you would think energy would get a play off of this. I mean, it was a surprise. So this means that the Chinese economy, which saw over the weekend its CPI gate number, which is their equivalent of a manufacturing PMI, go down to a 6-month low. They're looking at CPI 3 months in a row down. Deflation hitting. The real estate market not improving. They need to get a win here, and they came away with one. China is going to say all over the press, I was on the interpretation of the Chinese press. There's many places you can go for that. It's a big win. China stood up to America, and America blinked. Congratulations. I'm not ashamed of that. Yes, we started this, and we ended it. Not a bad thing, and both countries will do better, but we will adjust our trade balance with China. And that is a good thing, and companies will, where they can, not have their business in China. China will lose out on that. You got to balance the trade. This is a 4-decade-old thing. I get what the president is saying. The end of World War II, you realize that's 80 years ago. We started helping the country because we were the power in the world, the economic power after that. I was a baby boomer. I don't remember too much of it, but I was a baby boomer. In stocks, higher lows, higher highs, you see where you're at. This is on fire because suddenly you open one door, maybe the chip door opens too. Does that make sense? I mean, since we're going to be buddy-buddy over time, maybe there's better ways to get it done. And as you know, that is important to the world. Again, be it Broadcom, NVIDIA, all the heads of these companies are running to Congress and saying very clearly, we can't lose our market share. And it's a big $150 billion business there that they've got to keep their pie into. Higher lows, higher highs on the financials. Of course. You've had an embedded reading. Are you surprised with the ones that had bullish embedded readings that they kept going? If you are, you should take my enhanced Bollinger Band course. You won't be surprised going forward. You'll have understanding. Same thing here in XLI. Up. Look what you had coming in. That's not overbought. That's locked in bullishness. I'm not surprised to see the markets up. XLE, getting overbought. I'd be very careful here. The market has gotten over the Bollinger Band, and I think it's getting overdone. Be a bit cautious right now. In the gold market, well, it hit $3,500 an ounce gold. That was, if you remember my gold report, I have it. I know what it said. That was the zone I looked for the market to run into trouble. Well, it certainly did. It's dropped back down to the 3250 level now. And as you can see, that's showing up here. The bull play for the moment in gold is locked and done. The more deals you do in other countries, you will get inflation. Understand that, not runaway. And the fear factor of China is what came out of this market. China, United States. That's how I'm viewing it. Doesn't mean I'm right, by the way. In the silver market, well, it's sort of hanging in here. Silver's stronger than the gold right now. Copper market, I was disappointed with futures. So I realize you're up here. I'd be very nervous about this. The futures didn't budge today. And you would think copper, the canary in the mine, should have really gone. Copper is part of, the factories. They're going to be using and buying copper. The deals are back on. The U.S. is going to order like there's no tomorrow to get ships in the next 90 days before they worry about this. Is it going to be renewed after 90 days ordered? The precedent's there. If the ship leaves China, it comes to America tariff-free. Get it on board and get it here is what people are going to say. I realize it's a 30% tariff. That's a lot different than 145%. In interest rates, well, if we're going to do better and not going to go into a recession, which is the talk that this could be, U.S. interest rates are probably still have to go up. We have to see if we're losing jobs. We have to see our CPIs, PPIs to get an inflation feel. As much as I think they're now in the back window because of all this, you don't think I'm not going to be poring over them, as other analysts will? And they're going to look at this really hard. Everything about labor is going to be looked at hard. But I want to repeat, we're going into the summer. All the outdoor jobs are there. Did you see today that McDonald's said they're going to hire 375,000 people this summer? I was with a family member who is a senior person. I don't know if it's true family or my wife, what they call aunts and all that. She grew up with her, and she's one of the senior people at McDonald's. We were with them for Mother's Day. Not a word came out of her, of course, but that's a huge amount of people, and I'm just surprised. Wow. Wow. But first of all, I wouldn't have known what to do with the data, but I just found out today anyways. But it was impressive to be with this woman who we know real well, but she's that senior. Higher lows, higher highs, all the way up through here, and on FXE. So what you did is you took the dollar, kaboom. What you did is you took FXE, bah. And in UUP, let me get over here. I wanted to get to the next chart. I hit it wrong. I thought I'd have on there IBIT, but I don't. Be careful about Bitcoin up here. Looking a little rich in price to me. That's all I can say about it. But I'm watching momentum, and it was a momentum trade. If it loses it, I think we'll have an idea tomorrow. I want to remind you about my Mother's Day week sale. 1/3 off any of my quarterly subscriptions. We have completely done away with introductory prices and 1-month subscriptions. I believe that if you want to follow me, what's wrong with 3 months? It's not expensive. It's $36 for the 3 months, not $36 a month, $36 for that. That price will go up because I'm giving 1/3 off during this week of Mother's Day. So if you've wanted to look at this and see what I do and choose from the other packages, this is the way to do it, because these prices are going to go up by 33%, and this is then the cheapest that you can get into my programs for. I want 90 days to prove myself. If you don't like it, you blew $36. Okay. If I give you one good idea, that's all I got to do. Okay, that's what I try to do. I'm Ira. How do you get this?